You're listening to the Low Pressure Podcast, the podcast for skiers.
Presented by CMH Heli Skiing and Peak Performance.
Yes, raspberry. It's from all that camping. All right.
Yep.
Maggie, we did it.
We did it.
Cheers.
Tea, water, look at us.
Yeah, right? Responsible. One's responsible, one's old. After a big week. So you're in Whistler for Momentum Camps.
Yes.
Were you coaching? You guys had like the U.S. free ski team are here too, right?
Yes, we came. I drove from Whitefish.
Mm-hmm.
It took me 14 hours.
Did you?
It was a haul.
Did you go through the States and then up in?
I did straight north and then like
Across
Golden.
Canada? Oh, nice.
It was so beautiful.
Isn't it?
I'm gonna go home the other way, so I want to do like a loop, a little circle, but
through like Oregon and like.
I'm gonna go back that way.
Yeah.
Right. You go Vancouver, Seattle. I've never done this drive.
It's nice.
Yeah.
No,
well, I
no,
guess
no.
I've done to Seattle, so that's pretty close.
That's boring.
Yeah.
That's super boring.
It
The
is.
Vancouver to Seattle drive is the most boring drive. But
Well, that's right.
as soon as you hang a left, it
That's when it
gets
gets
nice.
nice.
Yeah, when you go through like Oregon, Idaho, that little corner
Exactly.
there. And then how long is that way?
I think it's only like 11 and
It's probably
a half,
smarter because I
12.
guarantee you the gas will be cheaper down in the
Yeah,
States too.
it is. But I just like, I don't know. I was like, I haven't driven this way yet. Or
Ever?
Actually, no, that's a lie. I went to the when Pemberton had a music festival. I was 17 and I had a little Volkswagen at the time. And I don't know, we like literally we were like packed like this and we drove from Whitefish all the way to Pemby. Which was really fun. And
Just
I think we
for
went
Pemby Fest? Like
Yeah.
you weren't coming to ski the glacier or anything?
No.
Did you while you were here as well or no?
Like this trip?
That trip.
No. I was just there for the music.
Oh, that's awesome.
But anyways, get back on topic. I drove from Whitefish on the 18th. Spent a week training with the team.
Yeah.
I don't know. Summer for me skiing is just, it's kind of like soul shred time.
Is it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't know. Like for me, I've had a couple knee injuries, the slushy snow. I'm like, I don't need to push myself. So anyways, spent a week with the team and then I coached session 3 with Momentum. And I left town for a couple days and then I coached the last 3 days of Girls Week. So I'm headed back home tomorrow.
And that's why you got the raspy voice. Not because we were partying.
No.
But you've been yelling at kids all
I've
week.
been yelling at kids.
I love it.
Discipline. No.
Is this your only kind of coaching gig? Do you dig it?
Yeah, this is the first time that I've coached. And I remember coming to Whistler with the U.S. ski team. I believe it was in 2015 was the last time we came here and trained.
Yeah.
And I just remember being like, dang, and we were skiing COC. We never went over to Momentum.
Okay.
But I just had heard so many stories about how much fun it was to ski Momentum. And it's just like that big summer reunion. So since I was 16, I was like, I need to come to Momentum and coach. And I mean, it's been a couple year gap, but I finally made it happen. And it was such a blast.
Speaking of reunions, we were talking to Danielle last night and she showed me a photo.
No.
And it was like prime, like mid 2000s stees, big tall tees.
Yep.
The two you're wearing in that is probably like half your size.
It was just like sagging off the back
it's
of
massive.
my head.
And she's like, look at this. I'm like, oh, there's Danielle. I'm like, oh, that's Ashley Battersby.
Uh-huh.
And I'm looking for you and I didn't see you. She's like, that's you. And I'm like,
Just a little one at
you're
the bottom.
11.
I was 11.
11 years old.
And that was actually at Wendell's. So I never
Was
came
it?
to Momentum as
okay.
a camper. But yeah, Daniel was my coach. That was in 2012. I was 11. Dania, I think, said she was like 21. And back then, like Dania, Ashley, those were my idols. And I got to ski a week with them and it was the greatest thing ever. And then now it's like full circle. Dania and I are here at Momentum coaching Girls Week together.
Yeah,
so
that's pretty cool,
It is
hey?
really, really cool when you think about it.
Right? All right. So,
Hey.
like I told you, I know some of your story. I've known who
Yeah.
you are for a long time.
Yep.
You've been around for a long time. And I was like, wait, you're how old? 23?
I'm 23 years old.
And you've been in the industry for like 10, 15 years, it seems.
A while. I mean, I think this will be my 9th season. Like
As a professional
as a
skier.
professional skier. Yeah. It's pretty bizarre.
That's awesome.
I feel very I say this, but I just feel so grateful. Obviously, it took a lot of hard work and whatnot, but like when I think about it, even my mom has to sit me down and be like, Maggie, you're 23 years old. Like, chill out. I don't know.
Not chill out because it's like unchill maybe.
Yeah.
Is what because like you're so
Well,
chill. Like you're beyond because you've seen and done so many things.
Yeah.
Like you did it a generation before most people do it. Like most people get started when they're like 18, 19, 20,
Exactly.
right? And then
Yeah.
they go through the travel and the partying, and like you were on the U.S. Olympic team. You've been accepted to 3 Olympics.
Yeah.
Right. So you've seen and done a lot, because when you're in that Olympic world, you're exposed to mainstream.
Oh, exactly.
Right. Mainstream attention, mainstream news, mainstream photography, mainstream just everything. Like oh, we've got an interview for you this afternoon, but it's with CNN, so you got to go to a place and you got to do makeup and you got to talk to this person, and you've got like 5 or 10 people being like, "Do you got water? Let's do some makeup on you." Like that's a lot of stuff. Whereas here, you're like, "Oh, hey, your dog's cool."
I know.
And I poured you a tea, and I'm like, "All right, you're ready to go."
Yeah.
But like, I always wonder about that, where when people are. I always think about the differences between like 25-year-olds that just have regular lives and like 25-year-olds that are in like mainstream attention, or like actors or athletes. And I don't know if it's the maturity level that might not be what it is, but they're so different.
Well, I feel like just being in the industry at a young age, and it just kind of forces you to grow up really fast.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be responsible.
You can't get away with bullshit when there's that much stuff going on, right?
No, you can't. And yeah, even to like, I had pretty chill parents by the time I turned 16, and we'll go back and kind of more in detail. But I was living in Park City, Utah. Yeah,
we'll end up going on lots of little tangents, but
I know
it'll be a journey with lots of fun adventures along the way.
Yes, but when I was 16, my parents let me just like move in with my teammates.
Yeah,
so then it was like, I was driving, and in Montana you can get your license when you're 15, but when I was 16, like I was driving from Montana to Utah by myself.
Did you have like a assigned guardian when you were in these places?
Oh, what? Sorry. It's been a long day.
Like a guardian, because you're a minor still.
No, Devon. Like my coaches would sign stuff, but mostly like Devon Logan at the time.
For real?
Yeah, she would just sign like all my paperwork at contests, or like.
Was she over 18?
Yeah.
Okay, then she's like your legal guardian.
Devon was my legal guardian. She took me under her wing, and man, we had some amazing years together. I love that girl more than anything. But yeah, I guess like I said, it just really forced you to grow up fast. I was living with my friends. You have to learn how to cook, clean, like really take care of yourself. And I had a lot of injuries at a young age too, which I feel like really forced me to get serious and kind of just like, hey, Maggie, if you want to do this for a long time, like, gotta buckle up.
There's a way to do it. And I wonder also too, like there's certain people's personalities also lend to that. Yeah. Which way you're going to go. Like you said, I learned to cook, and I learned, like, I bet you as a roommate, I bet you're a great roommate, because you've always been on the road and you've been around all these other people. You know how to keep yourself contained.
Exactly.
Right? You're not going to leave. You're not going to walk in and toss your jacket down.
No.
If it's your house, yeah, absolutely. But when there's other people around, you're probably like,
oh yeah, I try to keep things pretty tidy.
Right.
I want to make everyone happy, and like leave, I'm going to leave the kitchen how I want my roommates to leave the kitchen, or whatever. But yeah. Yeah, it's kind of wild. And I feel like too, just traveling the world at such a young age, like you're just exposed to like so many cultures, and it's, like the normal high schooler, you're just like in your hometown going to high school. I mean, I was out traveling the world.
Were you doing classes?
I did online school all through high school.
Because I know, like, did Devon ever tell you about, I don't know, did Devon go to the same like ski school that her brother did? Her brothers did?
I don't.
Because
she might have for a little, but then I think she moved to Park City too when she was pretty young.
Yeah, because CeeLo and like Parker, and I think CeeLo's brother too, they went to like school for skiing. Yeah. In like New York.
I think they did. Maybe Devon went to like some ski academy a little bit in high school, but I'm pretty sure because she went pro when she was young as well. And Park City was, at that time, it was still the place to be. So right. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
Interesting. Yeah. Do you find that people think you're boring?
Me?
Like kids your age?
Like my friends and stuff? I mean...
Because... Well,
I like, they go... Maybe.
I told you I was gonna try and throw you off a little bit. That's a question, to throw you off a little bit, not to be a dick, but just like, because you're so beyond your years because of everything we just talked about, right? Where like I'll meet another 23-year-old in town here that's like, oh, I'm moving to Whistler, blah blah blah. And I'm like, they're two very different levels of energy. Let's just use the word energy.
No, boring could be a good word. I would say at
times. No, but not in a
no,
bad way.
I'm just like, I'm honestly, for like the lifestyle that I live, like I'm pretty mellow human.
Well, you were telling me we saw you last night and everybody was partying. I came out for like a couple like ginger ales. Yeah. Because I wanted to say hello to you. Yeah. And say hi to a few of the other athletes and stuff. And then you're like, oh, I don't know if I have my voice. I'm like, all right. And then you showed up today. I'm like, I wasn't even drinking. I'm like, I wasn't either.
I know.
And you say you don't really drink.
No. I mean, I don't mind getting into it, but it's like, if you know the ski industry, it's a pretty rowdy industry.
Time and place, right? There's always an opportunity. Yes. There's always a reason. Yeah. And if you go and take that, and like, you know, if you do it every time, it just gets out of hand.
It does. And like, I am so down to like go out and socialize like that. That's like one of the most fun parts about coming to Momentum and coaching. It's a big reunion, especially after COVID as well too. Right. We've been in our own like separate bubbles, you know, with our teams and all that. So this was like the first time we've all really gotten to be together. But I don't know. I'm like, I can go out and have a good time and be sober. Yeah. I don't mind. And I get to wake up the next day feeling pretty good.
How did you get away with it last night? Because you were at Sushi Village last night.
Honestly, like in the past, I was like peer pressured like no other. Well, no, I wouldn't say peer pressured. I like gladly was like, yeah, let's have some fun.
Twist my rubber arm.
Yeah. I'd like, okay, maybe I'm lying there.
But like you're into it. Yeah. Yeah.
But I feel like now that I'm a bit older, it definitely a little bit. It's like, come on, drink. But if you're just like, no, I'm not. I'm good. People are like, they respect that.
I got peer pressured hard last week at Sushi Village. I went out for Canada Day and I ran into some friends who were like, we're going to Sushi Village. And I'm like,
oh no.
All right. And when you don't expect it, that's when it gets you. And then they're like, all right. And it was like next level. And then that's why
Sushi Village is crazy.
That's why I'm sounding a little rough today because I got sick. Yeah. So I was sitting on the couch all week. I don't know if it was COVID or not. I did a test yesterday and it was negative, but who knows? But anyway, I just hung out all day. But it was like Sushi Village. And then I looked at my bank account and I was like, oh, fuck.
No.
And I was like, God, because afterwards, right? Yeah. I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, who's that person with the pizza in their hand dancing in the village? You know what I mean? Like, yes. I'm like, oh. And I get like that maybe less than 2 or 3 times a year. Yeah. It's always,
like you said, time and place.
Time and place. Yeah, exactly. But I'm the same. Yeah. But I've had a lot more years to realize that.
Yeah, fair.
But I don't like spending the money.
That's the one thing. I'm like,
I don't like feeling like crap.
No.
I don't like the physically feeling like crap, but then also the shame and the dread the next day. You know when you wake up?
The anxiety. Yeah. The drinker. I don't know if drinkers, but like that
drinkers' anxiety. Yes. Drinkers' remorse. Absolutely,
I don't know.
It's a thing. Yeah.
It's a thing, and I get that heavy. I'm a pretty anxious person in general, so I feel like, everyone here, if you haven't had like anxiety after drinking, I'm like, that's impressive. But
Schmuck was telling me, he calls it the shame. He's like, I felt a little bit of the shame the next day. Was I all right last night? I'm like, oh yeah, you're fine.
You're fine. You're like, well, everyone else in there was pretty much doing the same thing. Yeah. Besides you and I guess.
So I like I'm good at it. I remember when I was maybe about your age actually, I would. Oh, every time I would go out, I would have to drink. Yeah. And then one day I just came to the realization. I was like, I wonder if I could just go and not. Yeah. And I did. And then it was annoying. I'm like, oh, these people bumping into you and stuff. And then after 2 or 3 times, you kind of figure out where your spot is, and it's no problem.
And I'm not like, we went out a couple nights ago too. Once again, didn't drink, but I danced all night long. Like, I don't mind. It was so much fun. It's just one of those things. I'm like, I don't know. I don't need alcohol to like have a good time. Right. But also too, I feel like you said, like in your 20s, I feel like you think that's what you're supposed to be doing sometimes, and you feel kind of pressured in that
or
sense.
It's just what everyone else is doing. You're like, this is fun. Like this is but you did that in your teens.
I did.
You got a head start.
Yeah, we could go back from the beginning, let people know when my career started, and then you'd maybe get an idea of being young in this industry. But hey, I feel like I got it out of my system young. And
Right. People are like, you don't drink, man? Like, you have a beer sponsor. And I'm like, I do. Fat Tire's the best, but I give so much of it away.
And people love it.
People come on the show, have some beer. People do a favor for me, have some beer. Yeah. Like, thank you.
It's amazing.
Right? Exactly. So, it's, like I said, time and place is good. All right, so let's get back on the track.
Okay.
So, we're at 11 years old now. that's where we started.
We started at 11.
Okay, so let's skip forward a little bit. Okay. So you're from Montana.
Yep.
Whitefish, you said?
Whitefish.
Which is like northwest.
Yeah. Born and raised in Whitefish.
Okay.
Right now, with like COVID and everything, people are like move into all these small towns, so it's fun to be like, oh, I was born and raised here.
Okay, so I went to I was telling you, I went to Montana last November to hang out with Wiley. Amy and Todd had their Powtown revival.
Okay, yep.
And Wiley picks me up at the airport, and he goes, "Take your mask off." And I was like, "What? Just take it off." I was like, "For real?" He's like, "Yeah, people don't like it here." I'm like, "Okay."
I know. Welcome to Montana.
Sure enough, so took it off, and I'm like, "All right, well, I'm vaxxed."
There you go. Exactly.
Should I tell people that I am? He's like, "It's all good."
It's like, Montana. Yeah. It's the Wild West, right? No.
It wasn't even that bad. Like,
it's not. No, it's really not. It's also funny too. People are like, "So did you grow up like riding your horse to school?" And I was like, "Okay, you always like Yellowstone's really ruining what Montana is. Not ruining, but it's just funny."
It's giving people that.
I'm not that from that part of Montana.
It's like when people are like, "I came to Canada and there were no igloos."
Yeah. Exactly.
And see one polar bear, right?
You're not far enough north.
So what's the mountain that you ski?
I grew up skiing Whitefish Mountain Resort, but it's not OG. Big Mountain is OG.
It's called Big Mountain?
Well, it was. When growing up, it was Big Mountain. And then it was kind of like a controversial thing, but at some point when I was young, they changed it to Whitefish Mountain Resort. And I honestly don't know the reason, but locals were like, they're mad about it. Like, so my dad, he had stickers and stuff. I remember when I was little, it's like, it's still the Big.
Oh, really?
He even had like a pair of really like crappy croquis, for your sunglasses. And he would, in Sharpie, it said, it's still the Big. But so I grew up, I'm going to say skiing Big Mountain, but now known as Whitefish Mountain Resort.
And do they have like a park there?
Tiny. But this is where Tanner Hall, like grew up skiing. But they have a pretty small park. But they had a freestyle team. Mm-hmm. And we had an old like aerial hill. Mm-hmm. Because back in the day, OG freestyle. I don't really think they ever did much moguls at the resort. But once kind of aerials fizzled out there, we, as a freestyle team, that was like we called it the jump hill. Mm. So we would build jumps. Because
it was like the right aspect and everything.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it was steep. I mean, it was an aerial hill, and we would hit it on POW days. But I think I joined when I was 10 years old. So a little 10-year-old going off this mini jump, but like you had to learn how to land. Right. And then like kind of the little G's at the bottom, most kids would just like legs like couldn't support
hit the flat
them.
And like crumple.
Yeah, but I feel like I'm like, all right, I owe it to the jump hill. I feel like I really learned how to be like, all right, I'm landing. Gotta be strong. But anyways, yeah, so there's a little train park there called the Fishbowl. It's still really fun, but I feel like it's just been in and out of like park crews. So, but I think, so I joined the local, I'm all over the place. Joined the local freestyle team when I was 10. But the backstory is I have a twin brother.
Okay.
I have an older brother as well. And then I have a half sister who's 8 years old.
Identical twin brother?
No.
I'm just kidding.
No.
People are like, what?
No. And we don't even look alike.
I wanted to see if you were like, huh?
Wait, what? People say that all the time, but they're serious. I don't
think so.
I don't think that's a thing.
It's brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my dad, I look like my dad. He's more fair skinned blonde, and my mom is brunette, and she's a little more like olive. So my twin brother looks like my mom. I look like my dad.
Okay.
People do not think we're twins. Maybe we have kind of like the same nose. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
So is he skier too?
Yeah, I mean, so my whole family was a big skier. Mm-hmm. My dad, actually, he grew up in Pennsylvania, kind of middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. And he actually, he went to, private school growing up, kind of lived more of that East Coast life. And then when he graduated college he went to Bucknell, which is funny. I didn't know this, past, my dad's past life. It's so funny. He never talked about it. I've just always known him as, this ski bum. But he moved to Jackson Hole for a winter. Yeah. And then he was like, oh my gosh, this is the life. Right. So he lived in Jackson for a couple years, totally ditched his college degree, moved to Aspen, and then he found Whitefish. So my dad is my dad's a ski bum. My dad's a ski bum.
Yeah.
I owe it to my dad. My dad is the reason I have my love for the mountains. And to this day, we're adventure buddies. Summer, winter, we're out together all the time.
Did you see Tatum's project last year?
Yes, with her dad.
Yeah, skiing the Couloir. Yeah.
I know. It gave me all the feels because I totally relate to that relationship with my dad. And now, especially that I'm older, I just really realize how much he appreciates it.
Right.
It's pretty
and
badass.
You do as well.
And exactly. I do too. It's funny, summertime though is my dad and I's time together. And I was only supposed to be here for 2 weeks. So I was supposed to come home this week, and he's texting me. He's like, when do you get home? I'm like, soon.
He misses his
soon.
adventure buddy.
I promise. And he's like, you said that last week. I'm like, I'm coming back.
That's awesome.
But anyway, so yeah, really grew up. And my mom, she moved to Whitefish when she was like 5 years old. So she pretty much grew up there, and she grew up skiing. But no one in my family was like a competitive skier at all. They just like loved ripping the mountain. But my twin brother and his best friend, Parkin Costain, who you've had on the podcast. Yeah. So our mom and our parents, my parents owned a restaurant in Whitefish for a long time, and just small town stuff. Our parents were best friends, so we basically say like
you grew up together.
We grew up together.
Yeah,
we were friends.
Unofficial
we
siblings.
were friends when we were in our parents'
unofficial
womb.
siblings.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like Parkin is my brother for sure. That's how I describe our relationship. But so they joined the local freestyle team when I think we were like 8 at the time, and I was actually kind of figure skating. I was still skiing, but
hadn't figured out what you want to do.
No,
yet.
no.
You're 8.
But growing up,
You're doing all the things.
Yeah, but growing up with brothers, like my sister's 8 years older, I was just a total tomboy. I just chased my brothers around, had to do whatever they were doing, and I wanted to be better than them.
Right.
But they convinced me when I was 9. They're like, you have to do the freestyle team. I kind of wanted to do racing. I don't know. It's kind of the thing to do.
Yeah.
But eventually they convinced me, Parkin and my brother Tucker, and I joined the freestyle team. And I remember my first day, they were sliding the big box and I was on the little one, and I was like, I want to be as good as they are.
Yeah.
But I remember the day vividly. Like, I fell in love with it from day one.
I remember my very first day on skis.
Yeah.
Ever. Like.
Isn't it insane? Like,
yeah.
It's just one of those feelings where you're like, this is what I'm meant to do.
Yeah,
this is what I want to do the rest of my life. Like, I knew it when I was 10.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And then, so Parkin obviously is Parkin.
Yes.
And then your brother, I'm sure, shreds just as hard, but he didn't want to go that route.
No, Tucker was more like, he was more mellow. Like, I think I was a bit more aggressive. I was kind of, not that I was a crazy child, but like my nickname was Crash growing up. I was just like reckless. Like, I was just trying everything. Like, we had mini dirt bikes when we were 6. My dad bought us mini snowmobiles when we were 3, but I was like the one ramming into the trees, or like we had a patio that was just on the ground and I was on my dirt bike and just like, is everyone watching me? And just ran into the patio furniture.
Yeah.
Like, I was just a crazy
You're
child.
that kid?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. 100%.
So your brother didn't really want to do like the competitions and stuff, but I bet you, I will guarantee you, he's like that. Every town has that kid or those people.
Yeah.
Where he's the best guy. He's the best skier on the mountain,
Oh,
but no one knows who he is.
Yeah. He's a phenomenal skier. I mean, that's what we grew up doing.
Right.
And then like, I felt like it was Parkin, my brother and I, and we just chased each other around. But it was really Parkin and I who eventually got competitive with each other. Yeah. When it came to skiing. And I feel like I owe a lot of like my younger progression to Parkin. I mean, I just followed him around. That's what I did. I tried to keep up. And that first year I was on the freestyle team, I was 9, 10. We did our first 720s together. Like, but I'm going to claim Parkin landed his first, but it was my idea. I was like, I'm doing a 720, and Parkin was like, oh man, now I got to do a 720, and he landed it first. I was so bummed. But yeah, we just like had that relationship. And then when I was 12 is when I got like a little bit more into competing, and I was traveling, and I started like going to nationals, junior nationals or whatever. And I was still on the local freestyle team at the time.
Like going to Windell's and...
Yeah, 11. Like we talked about with Dania. I mean, I begged and I sobbed, and I was like,
how did you know about it?
I just
at that
feel
point
like
in time?
You just hear about it.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, you're on the computer as a kid just watching ski edits, and it's like, oh, where are these people skiing in the summer? Windell's, Momentum, but at that time, like, just being in the States, Windell's was, and Mount Hood was a place to go.
Right.
And I met so many pros that summer. I mean, I was just like, But when I was about...
And they were all getting, their voices were all going, yelling at you, yeah.
And now I know what it's like to be, the pro coaching. I'm like, oh, that's the reality of it. Sorry, kids.
So you're going through it, right? So you're like 12, 2 more years, and you're accepted. Accepted is the wrong word, but you qualify for the Olympics. Like that's a big jump in 2 years. Like, were you like an early developer, like physically? Like, did you grow? Like, girls develop their strength and their coordination a lot quicker than boys do.
Maybe. I mean, I feel like I've been the same size since I was 14, so probably. Like, honestly, I don't think I've changed very much. But when I was around 12, like, that's when I was like, I'm going to the X Games. But I still I knew it. I was like, that's my goal. That's my goal.
Yeah.
But when I was 14, it was like kind of obvious that I was definitely getting better, but I couldn't stay in Whitefish. Like the parks just weren't big enough.
Right.
I needed to move. So when I was 14, I decided to go to Park City, Utah. My family didn't come with. They needed to stay home and work, but I got a host family and started training with a club out there. And yeah, within 1 year of moving to Park City, I mean, I progressed so much. To like give you an idea, we had that first Rev tour that season, and it must have been the 2013 season, 2012, 2013 season. I was at a Rev tour. I did literally right 3, left 3, 7. That was my run. And then by the end of that season, when WSI was still happening here in Whistler, I won it. And I beat Therese. She's a Norwegian who'd won X Games that year. And I was doing switch 9s, like right 5s, like cork 9s.
In the span of one season.
Like in one season. Like I think it was, well, I know for a fact, like I just had so much fun. It was my dream to move to Park City.
Right.
And I just literally every day had so much fun. You know, just that young kid.
That's
sweet.
Sweet.
You're also too, you have like no concept of getting hurt or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that first year, you're like, oh, look what I can do. Oh,
Yeah.
look what I can do. Look
Yeah.
look what I just did.
yeah.
And now you're traveling around winning competitions, beating X Games gold medalists, right? So like you came to Whistler for that event, and then when was your first X Games? Was it that year?
That next season.
The next season.
So that once that season was over, the 2013 season, I then got on the U.S. rookie team. And that was the start of the first Olympic qualifiers.
And then you qualified.
And I qualified, and I got my first X Games invite. I remember...
Was X Games was right before Olympics, right? It usually is right before, right?
Yeah.
How did you do it that one?
I got silver against Kaya Tursky. We had a little battle. It was insane. But I remember, this is also funny. I knew I was going to get an X Games invite like early. I feel like it was like early fall, end of summer, because there was a film festival happening in Kalispell, like 15 miles from Whitefish. And Mike Douglas was there. And Parkin and I entered like such a little embarrassing edit, but we made like a dual edit of us. We have like videos of us like skiing in a kiddie park, like trying our first 180s.
Is it on YouTube?
Yeah, it's called, I think if you just look up Parkin Costain and Maggie Voisin, I forget what it's called.
All right, I'm gonna link that.
You have to link it.
It's
it's pretty funny. We have a little bit of our personality in there too. But his mom made us like do like interview and like explain our sports and
talking head interviews.
Oh, so it's like it's really embarrassing. But we entered it anyways, and Mike Douglas was there. And I remember after that, he said something about X Games to me, like super, super low key. And I was like, I was 14. I was like, oh, I don't know. That was weird. And then that October, I got my X Games invite.
That's
I
cool.
remember I was doing online school at my house, and I was like sobbing. I was freaking out. I mean, that was my dream come true right there.
That's awesome. I know that like back then versus now, like in the last 10 years, like I've spoken to people about whether they need to invite this person to X Game or Do Tour.
Yeah.
But the jumps are so big now. When you're 14,
Yeah.
you don't have the strength, the speed, or the weight to carry you. Like they're like, we don't want you in here because you're not big enough yet.
100%. And
Whereas back then the jumps were just that little bit smaller.
No, dude.
No?
I don't think so.
Do you think you should have been in there when you're 14? You came to silver, so it worked out, but like...
I think I was ready for whatever was going to be thrown at me.
Do you think people are more concerned about that kind of safety aspect now than they were then?
Coaches are sometimes too. They'll be like, hey, like...
Because back then it was like the Wild West of free ride.
Yeah.
Free ski.
I feel like I caught like a glimpse of it, you know? Kind of a glimpse. We were talking to James Woods and Dania about that. And they're like, because they're OGs. I'm like, I'm not an OG. But anyways, no, that year, like, X Games still had 4 jumps. And it was tight. It was like a roller coaster, off one on the other. But yeah, honestly, I never even really thought of it at the time. But that is a thing where they're like, okay, this person's young. Like, they're good, but let's give them another year. Yeah.
You're going to be into the parking lot because you like weigh nothing, you know?
But I feel like, you know, there's so many up and coming young girls right now. But I feel like at the time I was maybe like just kind of that new one.
And a little ahead of everybody.
Yeah. Like the generation that's here now.
Right.
Because right now, besides one other girl, her name's Katie Summerhays, she skis for Great Britain. I'm the vet. I'm like been on the circuit the longest.
Right. You're 23.
Yeah. It's
You're
crazy.
still one of the younger ones too, right?
Yes. Yeah. In the middle now. But yeah. Which is crazy to think about. But no, that X Games was wild. And I did a switch 10. I'd never done switch 1080 before, and I did it in the middle of my run. Like, you know, you're just young.
It's the first time you landed one?
Yeah.
First time you attempted one?
Yeah.
Really?
I remember I was like, my run was like right 5, switch 7, switch rodeo 5-9. And I remember just looking at my coach being like, I think I can do a switch 1080. I'm just going to try it. You know, this was in practice, and I just stomped the first one. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do it in my run. And I've not done that since. I mean, just with like how my run is fixed.
Yeah. You haven't just thrown in a trick without knowing maybe you should.
But I feel like I was told too when I got silver that year, that's like the rookie's luck. Like most rookies at their first X Games get silver.
Because they're just so fired up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, I was just all in. I had nothing to prove. Right. Nothing to prove. And I had just made the Olympics. Like
you got into the Olympics before the X Games?
I knew like on our way driving to X Games.
Yeah. So what happened before the X Games or before the Olympics? You broke your leg, didn't you?
I broke it at the Olympics.
Oh, that's right. During training.
The third day of training.
Oh my God. Mm-hmm. That was where? Seoul?
Yeah. In Sochi.
Sochi? Why Seoul? Seoul
Russia.
Was summer, wasn't it? Anyway, yeah, Sochi.
Yeah.
2014. Mm-hmm. Oh, no.
And that's where, you know, our sport debuted in the Olympics for the first time.
That's right. Oh, and you were going...
I was on one. I was ready to say...
So what happened?
Oh, it's so dumb. It's kind of hard to explain if you live up to your nickname? Yeah, it does. I never thought of it that way, but it does. Yeah. Like the rail section was super, super tight, pretty icy and fast. And there was a DFD. I was trying to just figure out a line.
TFD?
Down, flat, down, rail. Thank you.
For those that aren't in the know.
Down, flat, down, rail.
Yeah. How many kinks is that?
I don't know.
Are you in that conversation? You know, they had that conversation with all the snowboarders.
No.
There was like through the bomb hole guys. There was a video. They're like, "How many kinks is this? How many kinks is this rail?" And no one could figure out exactly what it was.
I'm like, wait, but where? Like, what kink? I'm like, you know what I mean?
Is it a triple kink or a double kink rail? And then it was this big argument. I'll show you later.
Okay,
I'll show you later.
Okay, I want to know. But I was disastering it, which means you just like slide the bottom part. You miss the down flat, and you just go to the down.
Yeah, straight to the
down.
And
I was doing it to switch, and trying to hit this little up thing switch, but they had like cut out the bottom of it. So like if you didn't get on right, you just fall down a hole. And I was like, I just freaked myself out. And you were going really fast, going switch in, and I bailed, but it was so tight that when I was like trying to stop and turn around, I ran into another rail. It just like twisted my ankle. And I honestly thought I hurt my knee. Like I felt the pain in my knee, and I was like, I knew I was like okay, but you know, I had to lay there for a minute. I was like, my knee.
Yeah, that 20-30 seconds waiting for the pain to come or not come.
Exactly.
And you're like, but it was. Oh no, there it is. Or like, oh my God, thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was such a silly, you know, that's how it happens. It's always the dumb,
that must have been crushing
stuff. I mean, I did not know at 15 how to take that. It was really, really hard.
Right, because up until that point, like you're a teenager and you're like, everything I do, I mean, everything I try to do, I got. Like, there's been no real setbacks. There's been no real failures.
No. And I will say, like, obviously it took hard work, but to like go pro for me, like it was like a pretty just like it just happened. I was just skiing and it just happened.
Right, so you didn't realize that there were possibilities to fail.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. That's the first time. And I mean, I think it was a really, looking back, like a good lesson to learn at a young age. I feel like I learned a lot from it.
Shitty. Would you have rather done that at the X Games or rather done that at the Olympics?
I wouldn't take back my like.
But I'm just saying, anything. Theoretically, right? If you could go back and you're like, all right, you're gonna break your ankle or break your leg, either at the X Games or at the Olympics. You can still compete in one or the other. Yeah. But you have to pick one. Because I know for you athletes, like freestyle athletes, the X Games is as big or bigger than the Olympics, and that always boggled my mind because I've always been a big fan of the Olympics and representing your country and whatnot. But some of the conversations I've had, they're like, "Oh, yeah, the X Games is almost bigger. Yeah, like more important."
I mean, growing up, that's what I wanted to do. The Olympics wasn't even like an idea in my head at all.
Right.
When I watched skiing, I watched the X Games. Like you said, that was our Olympics. Right. I mean, I still believe it is our Olympics. Like that's kind of the epitome of, you know,
like
action.
The pinnacle?
The pinnacle, yeah, exactly, of action sports. So, No, I wouldn't. I mean, getting that first X Games invite, like, that was my dream come true.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't take that back. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now you're in Russia.
Mm-hmm.
And you're there, and you're like, oh no, like the reality sets in. Like, what happens now?
So it was pretty crazy too. Like, once again, I thought it was my knee, and then, you know, once I took some deep breaths and like got to the side of the course, I was like, oh, I'm fine. Like, my coach came over and I was like, just take a lap, like, I'll be back out there in a minute. And I just started like walking kind of like up and down the hill next to the course, and I was like, ooh, like my knee's fine, but my ankle's feeling kind of funny. So I like went to our physical therapist, and she was like, yeah, you're not skiing the rest of the day. Get it checked out. Right. So in the village, like, got the x-ray, got the news, and like, yeah, I was an emotional train wreck. But fast forward, I ended up staying the entire Olympics.
I heard that you like walked opening ceremonies with a broken leg.
Okay, yeah, I forgot about that. So the day I broke my ankles was the day of opening ceremonies. And that was the day that my parents had arrived in Russia. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I did not want to tell them. You know, also being that young, I felt like I had let so many people down. Yeah. I was really concerned about them. Like, my parents... Also, too, like, I didn't find out I was going to the Olympics until, like, 2 weeks before I left. And you had to get visas. So my parents, I don't know what they did, but they had to, like, scramble to, like, buy these flights, get a visa for themselves. Like, they put so much work in to just go. And I knew that they were going to be at opening ceremonies. Like, I didn't call them. I wasn't going to tell them right then and there.
They're up in the stands like, why is she limping?
Well, the thing was, I was supposed to be on crutches.
Oh.
But it was my fibula. So I always say I broke my ankle, but it was my fibula, but it was really low, like towards my ankle. But that's your non-weight bearing bone. Okay. And I didn't have to get surgery. It wasn't anything bad. It was just like a little fracture. They didn't have boots. I had a little like plastic brace.
And they just tape it up real tight?
They just like, it had just like a shoelace. You just tie it. And I didn't wear a shoe because I couldn't put my foot in a shoe. Yeah. Or maybe I did. I don't know. But I remember just like having this weird little thing on my sock, like, and I just like crutched around. And the crutches, they didn't have crutches that were tall enough for me, so they went like really low. Like, they didn't have like the medical.
They were either too tall or too small.
Yes, the medical supplies, I don't think was like, they weren't really prepared.
I heard they cut a lot of corners from the Russian Olympics.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. But I ditched my crutches because I was like, if I walk into the opening ceremonies and my mom sees me on crutches. Like, she is not going to be able to, like, handle that. Right. So I was like, I'm ditching the crutches. I was like, they're too short anyways. I don't need them.
Just hold on to someone's hand or...
No, I just walked.
Really? Did anybody else... Just obviously your teammates kind of knew, but didn't...
No, my teammates knew. Yeah, but I don't really
They created a nice little barrier around you so no one would, like, bump into you and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't in that much pain. I was, like, you know, like, after walking on it, like, clearly. And... Before you get into like the arena, wherever the opening ceremonies is, you're walking like an hour before you get there. Like, it's a lot of standing around waiting. Right. And before we got in, and you were kind of in an enclosed spot before you walk out, there are a lot of cameras, and like NBC is there with cameras, and I was on crutches, and they were like filming me. And I was just really overwhelmed. And they're like, oh, like, what happened? Can we do an interview with you? And I was like, oh. And that was another reason. I was like, I can't handle this. Ditch my crutches. I don't need this attention. No. Yeah. But eventually, I think I made my PT call my parents. I was like, I'm not doing it. But yeah, so that was, anyways, really devastating. But I stayed the entire games. I was like...
2 weeks?
Okay, I think it might have been longer. Opening to closing. Almost like 3 weeks.
That's crazy.
And we got there a few days before.
Because now, like, people just come in and leave. Like, they come in for... Well, I guess COVID, last year they had to come in for their event and take off. But before, like,
you could stay if you wanted as long. Yeah, I think some people were ready to go. But, you know, it's one of those things... I always looked at it. I'm like, I never know. I don't know if I'm going to get this opportunity again. Right. It's every 4 years. And I feel like I do have, like, a pretty positive perspective on life. Even though it was really hard, I was like, okay, I'm 15 years old. I did not expect to have the season I did, let alone make it to the Olympics. Right. Like, so I'm going to stay here and I'm going to enjoy it.
In your mind, were you like, I'm only 15. I'm only going to get bigger and stronger and better.
Well, it lit a fire under me because I feel like that next season I was like, I'm going to prove myself, you know, like I had one good year, but I'm like, that doesn't mean anything. It's kind of like, you know, the one hit wonder. I was like I want to prove myself that I'm like here and I'm, you know, I'm ready.
When did you get your first X Games gold?
No, not until 2018.
Ooh.
4 years later. And I had 7 X Games medals, and I had a little dry spell. Actually, that's a lie. In 2017, I got a bronze in big air in X Games Norway. But I guess sometimes I look at X Games as like X Games Aspen. Like that's the X Games.
The original one.
Yeah. But basically that season after breaking my ankle, I didn't ski the rest of the year from the Olympics. And then Dew Tour was our first event coming into the new season, the 2014-2015 season.
Yeah.
Qualified first, going into Dew Tour finals, and then tore my ACL.
Crash.
First event back. Yeah. So that, and like I said, that was my year. I was like fired up. I knew it. Like I was like, this is my time. So I missed an entire season that year. Mm-hmm. And then it just took me like a couple of years to get back on my feet again. I feel like after that.
How many knee surgeries have you had?
4.
Same, 2 different, both legs?
1 on my right, 3 on my left.
Good Lord. And then 2 ACLs and then like a cleanup or 3 ACLs?
Yeah, 2 ACLs, cleanup, and meniscus cleanup on my right.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
How do they feel like walking around and like
phenomenal?
Fantastic.
My knees are great. I was
also,
like I
it also helps when you're like when you do it when you're 17.
Yeah, it's
versus
nice
like
when you're young and you recover
35
well
or something, right?
True. But I do take like really good care of myself, I'd say. Like I work hard. I eat pretty healthy, and like that's important to me. So
well, that's wild. 14 like what a like we were talking at the beginning about experiences and maturity and like something like that, you grow up quick.
You do.
When you're like standing there and NBC is trying to interview. Can they do that though? Like you're 14 years old, or like are they allowed to?
No, I get maybe like when you go to the Olympics and maybe I signed something I didn't know, and they're just allowed. But I did an interview like the day after I broke my ankle. Like I had to do an interview with.
Did you watch any of the news or talk to me like, oh no, our medal hopeful, blah blah blah, and everyone's like, oh no.
I mean, a little bit. I was definitely overwhelmed by like the amount of people that reached out. Not overwhelmed. Like obviously I was super grateful, but yeah, I did an interview like the next day after I broke my ankle with the Today Show, and I was a disaster. I had to like hold it together. I like was trying not to cry. And then as soon as the camera's off,
you just have a moment.
Yes.
Breakdown.
Yeah, that was tough.
Sob in the corner kind of thing.
15, I didn't know how to handle like the pressure of the Olympics, and then, like I had just come off an X Games medal. I had high hopes, and so, but once again, like all in perspective, I would never take back like anything in my career. I'm a firm believer it all happened for a reason, and I took the positive perspective out of everything. And I think like in my like weakest moments or those times that were really hard, that's where I like learned and grew the most.
That's how it works, yo.
It is how it works. That's life. It's all perspective. You can't play the victim. Exactly. Like life is happening to me. Life's happening for me. And that's kind of not like my motto, but I always try to remember that.
Right.
Yeah. No matter what. And I feel like it's really like gotten me to where I am and helped me be able to like stay on track with my skiing and like still ski at the level that I do. Mm-hmm.
So you've been to 3 Olympics.
3 Olympics.
You're 23 years old.
I know.
You think you could do 5?
No thanks.
Yeah. Are you gonna try and do 4?
I'm taking it year by year.
Yeah, because it's what 3 years from now.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it.
You're gonna be 26.
I know.
You're gonna be right in the wheelhouse.
I know,
of, like,
that's my prime. Yeah,
maybe take a year off and then come back and be like, oh, I'm gonna smoke all these chicks.
Well, I bought a sled in 2019.
Yeah.
And it brand new. It still says breaking in. So I feel like this season I need to fix that.
You did? Okay, so that's another thing I wanted to ask you about too, is like obviously you've been in this life for a decade already. And you're still so young. Right? A lot of the movement that's happening now, like women's skiing is exploding. It's about time.
Yeah.
But there's like 3 or 4 different crews that were filming like all female skiers, all female, like it's now's the time, right?
It's so badass, yeah.
I don't want to say you want to jump on that trend, but you've already established yourself. Like a lot of skiers that have done the competition circuit, then they start to do the little shift. Like look at like Jossie and Jossie's and Torin's project the last couple of years.
Even Bobby, like all those guys.
Yeah, all those guys. Like and
everyone.
What was it? What was the one that you did? You did a little
Swift Current.
Yeah. Right? So that was it's like a little 4-minute thing online.
Yep.
on YouTube, which I watched yesterday.
Okay,
I'm like, ooh,
right.
what's this? And I'm like, oh, cool. This answers the question I was gonna ask.
Oh, there you go.
Skiing some pillows and like doing your thing.
Yeah, trying to at least.
Right. So is that kind of talking to people? It's kind of the natural progression.
Yeah.
Right. You've got your sled, and then
growing up in Montana too. Like my dad he's a big backcountry skier. Like he's not skiing in the resort. He's either like out in the side country, the back country, and the skiers
up there. Like I said, you got the Logans. You got your best friend for your other brother, Parkin, right? Mm-hmm. Tanner's up there. Do you ever ski with Tanner?
I have not. I would love to.
Hit him up one day, like, dude,
no,
let's
I need
go for a shred.
I need to, because he's back in Whitefish.
And you got Wiley and a bunch of crew in Bozeman. You got Cook City, which is just down the road, right? Like,
there's so much, honestly, like happening.
It's
in
a
that
really,
area.
really good scene in Montana.
It is.
For that backcountry. Hopefully, you just get some snow this year.
I know.
But is that the goal? It's like, are you gonna compete this year, or are you just gonna do a little bit of both? Like, try and get a film part in.
I'm gonna compete. I really want to do another film project.
Do you want to go solo? Do you want to hit up like the TGR crew and like?
I think I want to do another solo.
Yeah.
Like with a crew, but solo. So when I did Swift Current, I mean, like I was not doing that alone. Like, you know, the backcountry scene is super new for me. I have so much to learn. I've got, it's not like you can just jump right in it. No. There's so much to it.
Sledding's the hardest thing to learn of all time.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I do feel grateful though that I grew up dirt biking.
Oh, you had sleds when you were a kid.
Like the little mini, I think they were Suzuki's or like there was something.
Still, but you get on a sled now, you know how it works.
And that's the thing, like I feel comfortable on a motor or the throttle. Yeah. Throttle therapy, you know.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Like, I remember did help. I remember the first day on my sled, I was like, yeah. Like slowing down and getting tossed over the bars, and like just going up a logging road.
It's also just like feeling guilty when you're out with a crew and you're learning because they're helping you like dig yourself out. I feel so bad.
It was the worst. I remember I did a day up in Pemberton one day, and I was riding with my buddy Jesse, my buddy Dom, and I ran into Wiley while he was living in Pemby, and like Abma and Blake Jorgensen and like Guillaume Tessier, like the MSP crew were up there.
Rad.
And like the best skiers, the best photographers, the best filmers in the world are in the exact same zone, right? Yeah. And I'm like day 2 or 3. So a couple of my friends went skiing and did this thing. And I'm like, I'm just going to sit here because I was terrified. Like I didn't understand everybody went through that.
I know.
And I was like just around the corner for them, and I put it into a tree, and I was
it's so easy to do.
And I managed to like, you know, when you hear about like, say if there's like mothers have that superhuman strength or whatever, like your kid's pinned under a car and they'll lift the car up.
Oh yeah.
And I was around the corner and I had this like fear and embarrassment that I was like, lifted this sled out of this tree. Well, I still don't know how I did it. And managed to get my way over there. They had like a little fire that they had burned. I'm like, hey guys, how's it going? I'm like, oh, what's up, Warner? Meanwhile, I'm like trying not to show anybody how bad I am, but I didn't realize like who cares?
That's how it goes.
Every single person has stories that
you don't just jump on a sled and you're good.
No.
But it is intimidating. So I do get that. And the first time that I actually did like legit backcountry snowmobiling was with Tatum in Pemberton.
She rips.
I was like, I need to hang out with her more.
You come up here for the winter, you got a massive crowd. You got the Blondes and Tatum. You got Alex Armstrong. Like,
I'm planning on it this winter.
Yeah,
I'm gonna drive the sled up for sure. But yeah, I did a little project after the Olympics in 2018 with Tatum, Maddie Bowman, who is a half pipe skier.
Maddie's been on the show.
Okay, amazing.
Yep.
And we did like a little Tatum showing the contest girls what the backcountry's like, and I actually like. First day, I don't think I got the sled stuck, and I was kind of a little cocky. And then second day, it was game over, but that was really fun. So that was my first taste, and we just skied like small lines, fun stuff, and it was that. So that was like my first intro into like sledding in the backcountry, and I was like, I want to do more of this.
Yeah. And
even when I was young too, like 15, I remember being like, I want to do some backcountry stuff, but I was just young at the time and focusing on,
Yeah. Exactly. What you're doing.
Skiing. Exactly.
Yeah. Now's the progression. Now's the time.
Yeah.
There's a time for everything. And everything has its time.
Yeah.
Right?
But I've always been passionate about like being an all around skier.
Because that's how you grew up.
Yeah.
Right?
Not saying like I'm the best, but like it's like I can't just ski in the park. Yeah. I can't just ski in the park all day, you know?
Right.
Like when I need a reset, I'm gonna go out and ski the mountain.
I love that you're so young still, but I hate to like keep bringing it up, but you know what it is.
Yeah.
But because you've done so much, you've already lived that life that you did a year, like 10 years before everyone else got started. So like I've already done that. Now I can move on.
Yeah.
Like I have a friend who ended up having a kid when he was 18.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
And he's my age, and his kid's graduated,
Yeah,
and he's out.
yeah,
Like
crazy.
we were at a party the other day, and his kid was there, and I was
Yeah,
like,
it's
dude, is that
crazy.
Orion? He's like, yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I feel grateful about that. Like I'm not done competing. I'm
You're
still
not done, but you can now. You're like,
But-
but you're not like. You not feel like you're missing out on competing by doing.
No.
You're not missing out on something because
No.
you're trying something new, right?
Yeah.
It's like I don't have to choose because I've already done this. I
I've
get
already
it,
done it.
and it's still there.
Yeah.
But now I can expand and learn something new.
And like you said, I feel grateful. I've been in the sport for so long already, like almost 10 years. And then still people, like you said, like, oh, let's say if I decided to not compete again.
Right.
Or like, everyone's like, oh, you're 23, you're so young, you haven't even hit your prime. But it's like, oh, hey, if I wanted to change the direction of my career, how sick is it that I've already had this
Right.
amazing career, but I'm 23 and I get to just like jump into something new.
And
Like,
then
that's
then
pretty dang cool.
learn
I
all
think.
those skills that'll
Yeah.
probably be beneficial for what you've been doing, right? You can approach
Exactly.
it with all these different experiences. And
Yeah.
you'd be like, oh, I'm gonna come back and slay it.
Yeah,
Are you
yeah.
gonna? So you've got that sweet Range Rover
I know.
out with. You need to get your windshield replaced.
Hey.
Yeah, that's the first thing I noticed.
After
It's all
this-
cracked windshield.
It was, yeah,
Sorry.
I know, it's good. I knew I was driving out here and I'm like, okay, what if I get it fixed? And then I'm driving back and all of a sudden it
Yeah,
cracks
fair enough.
again.
Wait till you get back. But
Yeah.
so the reason I bring that up is it's a deal through the U.S. free ski team, right?
Yeah, originally, yeah.
Originally.
Mm-hmm.
But what are you gonna do with your sled? Are you gonna get a trailer on it?
I
Or are you
was-
gonna trade it in? And
I have a cute little single tilt trailer.
so you're gonna put a trailer behind the Range Rover.
I did. So I bought
love
my
it.
sled in Logan, Utah,
Uh-huh.
2019. And I remember I bought it and I was like, is it okay if at the dealership, I was like, can I leave it here? Like I was going to X Games Norway. I was filming for Swift Current. We were in Logan, Utah filming some jumping stuff in the backcountry. And I was renting a sled from them. And then they had like this brand new 2019 for a good deal. I don't know if it was a good deal, but I was there with like Wallish, Kyle Decker, and they're like, buy it. And I was like, oh, they're okay.
Do you sorry to interrupt, but do
No, you're
you
good.
use like the fact that you're a 3-time Olympian and stuff to be like, hey, you want to give me a bit of a deal and I'll like I'll give you a few Instagram posts and a few things here and like NHL players or ball players in the towns that they're at.
Yeah,
They always get cars from,
it's true.
there's in Vancouver, there's this place called Basant Motors.
Okay, yeah.
And whenever it's kind of a curse, the curse of Basant Motors. That's why I laugh, because whoever the athlete or the hockey player that ends up going either gets traded or gets injured or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
But like same sort of thing. That's the deal that you had with U.S. Free Ski Team.
Yeah.
Why not do that with like sleds or something?
I know. I think it was just like such a spontaneous move. And I feel like you said, there's a time and a place where you just like kind of are like, hey, this is who I am. But I don't do that very often.
Oh, is Yaps your agent still?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Tom Yaps. So Yaps,
Love Yaps.
hook her up with a sled deal.
I know.
I know Tatum's got a
I-
ski-doo deal, doesn't she?
I know. And I think
That's your angle. Be like, Tatum, let's go and do
I
a
think
little
when
edit.
Tatum got the Skidoo deal, everyone who Yaps works with like went to Tom and was like, hey, what's this about? But no, maybe when in a couple more years when I'm a little bit better of a sledder, I'll be like, Yaps, hey. But I feel like, that's like part of being a skier. You gotta, sign off the sled.
Right.
But oh gosh, where were we? We
were talking about the Range Rover.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, but I just have a little single tilt. Oh, I picked the sled up in Logan. I left it there. But then I went to X Games Norway 2020.
You won a gold there, didn't you?
Gold and silver. Golden slope and silver in Big Air. Yeah, that was a fun 2 days back to back. But then when I was in Europe, I was supposed to be there for a month and I was there a week and a half, maybe 2, not even. That's when the borders were being shut down.
Oh yeah.
So I got sent straight home from Europe. And I remember at the time, nothing was really nothing was really put in place, rules yet in the States for COVID. It was still pretty early on, but the team was like, hey, you were in Europe, we need you to self-quarantine for 2 weeks. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go back to Montana then. I am not going to do this in Utah. But I was like, I'll be back after.
The sled's still
Yeah.
there.
It was still in Logan because I told them I would pick it up when I got back from Europe.
Yeah.
And it was all, I like paid for it up front.
So
So they were
yours.
just, they didn't mind holding it. But then I ended up going home for 3 months. I never went back to Utah because COVID,
It was just
it just
sitting there.
escalated. Yeah.
So you had a fresh sled
Yes.
for the next year.
So in June though, like still kind of COVID, I had to go back to Utah because I packed one bag.
Right.
Because I
All
thought
your
it was
stuff's
going
there,
back.
right?
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm going to drive back, grab my stuff, and then go back to Montana. But on my way back, I picked up my sled. And at the time, I had through Land Rover, I had a Range Rover Sport, like the classic white one with the black topper.
Yeah.
It was like a V8 engine. I think it was a race car. It was so fun. And then I picked up my brand new snowmobile. So here I am, like this young little blonde girl stopping at all these gas stations with a brand new Skidoo 850 on the back of like my Range Rover Sport. And I was like, all these people at the gas station are like, probably like, oh my gosh, this girl and her dad is probably just like, here you go.
Trust
like,
fund
yeah,
dad or whatever.
not the case, but it is pretty funny.
That's cool. And then you fired it up the next season. For the next year, were you able to use it?
I used it once, twice.
That happens.
Yes, it just with the Olympics
So
ramping
basically,
up
you have a
in the
brand new
life.
snowmobile.
It still says breaking in.
Yeah.
It still says breaking in. I've had it for 2 years.
That's awesome.
But this season it's the year.
It's already paid for.
Yeah,
And you're like, I've got this
exactly.
thing that's ready. Now.
Exactly.
Amazing.
I feel bad. My dad exercises it for me though.
Oh, your dad uses it?
He does, yeah.
Does your brother have a sled too?
Well, my dad has like an old snowmobile because my dad's not really like a snowmobiler, but he'll just use it to go like up roads and then he'll like
Ski tour. Yeah.
Yeah.
Access sled.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of what mine is now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's old.
Mm-hmm. So it's not it's like an
There's
old
obviously
Yamaha.
Obviously, Parkin's got a sled. Does your brother have a sled?
Him and my older brother had a sled together, but my twin brother now lives in Salt Lake, and he's like full on just like working. He's working construction
He's a
down there,
city
so
guy?
he hasn't really skied as much. So I don't even know what happened to that snowmobile. But
I
my brother
wonder.
shared one, but I think they might have just sold it.
I wonder. Now, you said you had another brother, and I asked you about this beforehand.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. Do you want to talk about him a little bit?
Yeah, no, I'd love to. I love talking about him. He's was like just one of the most. I mean, I feel like people always say this, but he was genuinely like had the biggest heart of any human that I've ever met. He would go out of his way for anybody.
And just so people know, like he's passed away.
Yes, yeah. So, and I'm really open about it. When was it? It was 2020.
Was it during the lockdown?
No,
COVID?
maybe it was January of 2020.
So before.
Yes. He ended up committing suicide. Yeah, taking his own life. Pretty unexpectedly, which rocked my world. And at that point, in August of 2020, I had to, which is another reason I wasn't snowmobiling. I had to get knee surgery again. I had to get a little cleanup, and
Right.
I was rehabbing for 4 months, and that was like season was the start of Olympic qualifiers, and I was kind of rushing back into skiing, and then X Games was going to be my first event back, and then my brother passed away unexpectedly, and obviously like family comes first. So I really didn't ski much in 2020.
Because he was in the army, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
Was it while he was?
He was, what was it? He had graduated, he went to school at MSU, so Montana State in Bozeman, and he did the ROTC program there. And so he graduated, I forget, do you know, you're Canadian, I don't know. But when you do the ROTC program.
What's ROTC?
I feel so bad.
It's
just like the Army program.
Yeah, okay.
So they pay for your school.
Okay, yeah.
I feel bad. It's complicated.
all right.
I don't know much about
Just
military
explain it.
stuff.
You don't have to say what the name
yeah.
is. Just we'll get the gist.
But
I don't know any of that either.
Yeah, no. I'm like, oh, sorry, Michael. But he did the Army program. They pay for your school, but then after you're done with school, you have to serve 4 years. But you come out as like I forget. You come out like higher ranked. You're not like bottom of the bottom.
Right. You're not like a private.
So you get
but
like
you come in some sort of a ranking
forget
because
what it's called.
you've put time in and you've learned, right?
Yeah.
Kind of, not quite an officer, but you're on your way on that path, sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So he got out of school and then had like a month off, and then you go into like your training basically. And he loved the Army, and he had just gotten done with like the basic kind of training he had to do post graduation, and he was actually headed into Ranger school. So he was in the Army in infantry branch, and he was going to become a ranger. And I wish I could explain what a ranger is, but it's like,
they're the badass army guys.
Badass army guys. Like my brother was like, he would come home. This is when he was in college, and it would be, I don't know, for Christmas, it'd be like freezing outside, 9:00 at night. And he's like, has a 50-pound pack on, and he's got a headlamp on. He's like, I'm going to go out for a little 9-mile like jog. I'll be back. And I was like, oh, it's 9:00 at night. What do you mean? What are you talking about? Like, he was just so that guy. And I always tell people too, I feel like just with all my career at such a young age as well, people are like, wow, you must be like a driven like sibling, but he was like above and beyond.
Yeah.
And once again, just such an incredible human, would go out of his way for anybody. But it was during his, like, the Army obviously was taking COVID seriously, and before you would go into Ranger training, which is like a couple months long, like grueling stages you have to like go through and pass, and not a lot of people.
It's like the Army version of the Navy SEALs, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly. But it was in like quarantine or something prior to going in. That happened, and like I said, it was so unexpected.
Had he ever been into like combat or battle or
no, not even. Yeah,
just
no.
something
So
that he was
it wasn't
dealing with
like
in here.
Yeah. But I didn't really realize until after my brother's death that since COVID, the Army suicide rates had gone up like 50%. 50%. And then he was in Georgia, Fort Benning, Georgia was where he was based out of. And we went to this Army base to do like a Army kind of funeral where the family gets to come, but it's like for the people that knew my brother.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, pardon my French, but those Army bases are depressing.
Yeah.
Depressing. So it's just like, I really learned a lot, and it was just a wild time. Like, I was coming back from injury, and I'd never lost anyone in my life, you know. You know, I'm young, and to lose my brother like that, and someone I was so close to, and we're also so like-minded. I always say he's like, we have the same thought process, same brain, but he's like times 100. Like, we're really driven, really hard on ourselves. But I think that's what kind of got to my brother a little bit too. I don't know, just with other stuff he might have been dealing with. I don't know. Like, even his roommates were like, we would have had no idea. Like, it was so unexpected.
Right.
You know, which can be the case. Like, and I think it was, like I said, I don't mind getting in detail, but he didn't leave a note, nothing. So it had to just be like, you know, you get in that mindset.
You have a moment, right?
Yeah, you have a moment. It's all it takes to make that decision.
Because, you know, sometimes, like, I've in my life, I've, you know, known people, unfortunately, a handful of people that have done that, and you start thinking back, oh, what could have I done better? And you start looking back, looking for clues or looking for some sort of reason, and sometimes they're there. Yeah. And they're just hiding in plain sight, right? And you're like, oh, Jesus, like, oh, no. And then sometimes it's not at all.
Yeah, and maybe, I wouldn't say there were clues, but like I said, like, I knew how hard he was on himself. When it came to academics, when it came to everything, like, he was so, like, he just felt like he had to prove himself. And he felt that way in high school, too. And I think he just really beat himself up. And they also say, too, like, it's that sometimes the happiest people that, like, take their lives, or, you know.
Like a Robin Williams or something, you know what I mean? Where they're, like, always out, always giving, always doing for others. Yeah. But inside, they're like, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Trying to fill a hole by, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's a touchy, super complex subject. So how, obviously, probably the worst thing that's ever happened to you in your life, and but you know,
hardest thing I've gone through.
But you get your brother and your family. Like, did you end up having to go through, like, you know, like therapy sessions or like stuff like that? Like, what was your process having to deal with that?
It was like, I feel like it's somewhat instilled, like, it just hits me in waves. Like, you know, everyone's grief is so much different, and it comes in waves, and I feel like it hasn't, like, fully hit me yet. It's been a little over a year and a half, and I'm like, fuck, I'm waiting for the day that it's going to be like a train wreck. And
it's still fresh.
It's still fresh, yeah. But when it happened, like, I was in Park City. I drove straight home, and my family, we all got together, and we spent 2 weeks together. And it was honestly, like, so heartbreaking. My family's so close, but, like, is kind of like beautiful how my family came together, and we were there for each other, and we did so much healing in those 2 weeks that we were able to spend together. And like, we had our first, like, we had world championships that year. We had our first Olympic qualifier. So obviously, like, I spent the time with my family that I needed, but I was still like, I have to ski. I'm coming back from my knee injury or like my knee surgery.
Was the skiing helpful or harmful? Do you find
harmful? So yeah, I remember I missed X Games because I was with my family, and then we headed back to Aspen. That's where we had World Championships, and we had our first Olympic qualifier, and they were like back to back, same course, kind of within the same week of each other, and I put my skis on, and I couldn't do it. Like, it just felt impossible. I would have mental breakdowns, and
because like that, like
I just
people think like, you know, Olympics and X Games and like you competing at the highest level, obviously have to be physically at the highest level, but you got to be mentally as
that was
well.
it.
That's more important than the physical part of it. Is if you're not there, you're not there. Yeah. Like, it's dangerous for you to go if you're not focused.
And if you're emotionally and mentally drained, like, it's a sport where you have to put your body on the line. Like,
right. If you're not sharp, like, you're putting yourself in danger.
Yeah. And I just, like I said, at that point I had torn my ACL twice on my left knee, had just gotten things cleaned up in my left knee. And I was just like, the Olympics are happening now. Like, I was not in a good place. And I was trying so hard. Like, I wanted to be able to ski. And I ended up missing, I'm not doing World Championships. It's not happening. And then I ended up competing at the Olympic qualifier just to do it. Because I was like, I had pressure, no pressure from anyone else, from myself. I was like, I have to do it. And it, like, I had to drag myself through that contest. It was honestly pretty miserable. And then I was kind of at that time still bouncing back home and like spending time with my family. And like tried to go to a couple more contests like in Europe, and I got to Europe and I was like, nope. And I also feel great too, in the sense that I was able to realize like, no, I'm not ready.
Can I ask you a tough question?
Yeah, of course.
Did you have any resentment or feel resentful
towards my brother?
Yeah, because of where you were at with your, because obviously, like I said, it's a touchy subject, but like now your own personal goals, from a selfish point of view, your own personal goals and your vision for your life has been derailed by someone that you cared about. Yeah. Like, how was that like the hardest part for you?
You know what? I wasn't mad at my brother for maybe like ruining, like it ruined my season or whatever. Like, now that you say that, no, that wasn't the case. It was more just like the decision that he made, because I was home with him in December for Christmas. None of my siblings came home. It was just my brother Michael and I. And now looking back, I feel so grateful I had that like personal time with him. But we talked about the future. We talked, we talked about life, and he was excited about life and like where he was going. So it just was like, I didn't understand.
Right.
And like was really, really mad at him, because I was like, what? It came out of nowhere. So I never know, not from like oh my gosh, he ruined my season, whatever.
And that's I hope that's not an unfair question, but like,
no, it's not. Like, it's so valid.
Like your third Olympics, like you broke your ankle on one, and then you went to another, and this is like
fourth at the
fourth.
2018,
on 18, you were just one place off the podium. You're like, all right, this is like the fire was probably lit, and you're ready to go. And now you're like, oh, like what the hell, man?
Yeah. No, it's actually interesting that you asked that, because no, I never was mad at him for how like it affected me in my season. It was more just like, I just didn't understand.
Just mad
why
at him.
Mad at him
because you don't have an answer. Yeah, you can't, and you'll never know.
You never know. And I realized like I got a therapist, and thankfully one of my best friends, love her to pieces, she's a grief therapist. So obviously, her being my friend, I didn't see her, but I had her in my life. But
when you're around her, she knows. Knows how to approach a situation.
I feel blessed. And my boyfriend too, I've been with him, like we met in high school, and we've been dating on and off for a long time. Anyway, we don't need to get into my relationship, but
come on now, we got a bit of time.
No. He lost his mom when he was really young, so I had him. Someone who at least she passed unexpectedly, different circumstances, just like crazy health stuff. But, I had really great people in my life. And once again, like I have an amazing family, and like, obviously like that's how I got through. And yeah, I was seeing a therapist, and that was really amazing. And I still feel like at times, like I avoid some of my emotions, but also too, like when summer rolled around, it was like I could have gone and like trained my ass off because the next year was the Olympics. But I realized, and my friend who was a therapist, she's like, Maggie, if you don't work on yourself, like you're gonna get to these events next season when you need to be on, and you're gonna be off.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be able to function. Like you need to work on yourself now.
Right.
To like have that success. And I really, really took that to heart. So pretty much took the whole summer off and just spent time in Montana with my family, just doing like, grieving together, just spending time together. And we are so much closer because of it. So there's like a kind of a beautiful aspect.
Right. The silver lining.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And once again, going back to what I talked about when I broke my ankle in Russia, and just my perspective on life is always trying to find the positive. Obviously, I'm never going to be able to justify my brother's death. Like, that's not what I'm saying, but just still trying to be like, it brought us closer. And like, I look at life through a totally different lens and just
be a little bit more,
not taking shit for granted.
Yeah. Just
like,
appreciate,
it's so cliche,
appreciate the
but
things that you have that are good. And like you said, don't take it for granted.
And telling the people in your life, like, hey, I love you. I love you. And I'm so grateful that you're in my life. And like, it's really changed that for me, and also realizing like who are my people and the people that I want to surround myself with. So yeah, those are the things that I'm trying to draw from something that's been so devastating. And like I said, I don't think the grieving's over. It's never going to be done, but
and I got to tell you, like, it's really commendable that you're so willing, because you're a public figure. You're so willing to discuss it.
Yeah.
There's so many, I'd say the majority of people that end up experiencing this, they don't want people to know, because there's a bit of shame.
There is,
right? They just bring it inside and they keep it to themselves. Like, I don't want this attention. I don't want this. Didn't want it. This was put on me. This isn't something I chose. This is something that maybe it's because it's, when you do something and you fuck up, and it's on you, well, then you can own it. You can step up to it. But this isn't something that you chose or you do, but it's still on you. So a lot of people will turn inward. So I find it really awesome that you're like able to openly speak about it.
Well, I feel like, it's just obviously right now in the world that we live in, like mental health, it's something that we need to talk about. And at first I was like pretty unsure of like, am I gonna like post about it, whatever, but it just felt like the right thing to like share his story, and to like just, also too, like I'm from a small town. Everyone knows everyone knows who I am. Everyone knows my family. Like, I don't know. It felt right. And maybe for me too, a part of my grieving, like it feels good to talk about it. Right. It feels good to like be open and not hold that in.
And maybe, like you said, being a public figure, maybe you're going to help somebody.
Well, it's not like I do really want to get involved in another, in a bigger scale. I just don't think right now, like I'm there yet.
When you're
I'm
ready.
not ready.
Like
exactly.
You said you haven't even gotten to that point yet.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I'm not one to, I have nothing, but talking to you, I'm like, there's something missing, right? Maybe you haven't, like, you're comfortable talking about it, but has it really sunk in,
No. Oh, no, it has not. I can admit that.
Maybe one day when you're ripping around on the sled and you get stuck somewhere and you're having one of those days, maybe that's when it hits you. Yeah. Yeah,
no. I'm not saying like I'm ready for it, but I'm like, I know it's coming.
Yeah, just get blindsided and just be ready for it, you know? Mm-hmm. Well, I appreciate you sharing that with us.
No, like like I said, like it does feel good to talk about. But like I do want to get involved in a bigger scale someday. But even just like I sometimes post like little things on social media, like little mental health things, like just on my story. And I've had people reach out that I know, and they're like, "Thank you. Like I needed that to hear that today." Or or random people have said that. So even just like those small little things. So yeah, I realized maybe as being a public figure, like the power behind that. And even just like I post, it's called like vibe of the day. And if I like it, I post it to my story. I'm like, it's more like for me, I feel like the ones I post like relate to how I feel in that day. But everyone's like, oh my God, I love these. Like, thank you. I don't know. So, there's always small things like that.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
And what do you do to find to bring your day up? So I know we were talking about, when people go out of their way to do things for others. Yeah. But what do you do in order to enrich yourself?
Probably spend time alone.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like I feel like, some people, I always say, I'm like, I'm definitely more of like an introverted person, and
like an extroverted introvert.
Yeah, and over the
I feel
past
the
couple
same.
years, that's like really changed. I feel like I've kind of gotten a little more quiet, a little more to myself, like my own routine, and I don't know. I think some people are taken back by it a little bit, just because I don't know, but it's what works for me. It's what makes me feel good, and yeah, just kind of time alone. Or for me, every summer after a season, I would always go back to Montana. And I wouldn't go. I would get out of the ski scene, go back to Montana, hang out in the woods with my dad.
Right.
So it's just like things like that. Being in nature. I love like cooking. I'm not a great cook, but I love to cook, and just, I don't know, other things that just like replenish my soul. Just hanging out with my family. Those, and like my true people. And like, once again, that's in Montana. Like,
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
I don't
cool.
know.
I like it.
Other than ski, everyone's like, so what do you do besides ski? I'm like,
Not
a
ski.
lot. Not ski.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Like,
but it's just those simple little things.
yeah. That's cool that you know that too. Like you said, you're wise beyond your years, but it's because
Appreciate
you've lived a lot.
Yeah, it's true. It's really true.
You've lived a lot.
And I'm grateful for it all. The ups, the downs.
Now, are you, knowing that you went through this past winter has been one that you hopefully never want to repeat, and it's a growing experience, are you fired up for next year after having a camp this week and enjoying yourselves? Or you think you're going to be like fired up for next year?
I'll be honest, like, I always am. But I still feel like I'm coming off of just like everything. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. Last year was a lot. It was a lot. And
Time to
I
get
feel
on
like
the sled and get by yourself.
Just some throttle therapy, I think, is what I need.
Was it Dave? I think it was Dave trying to go and get small.
Pardon?
Go somewhere big and get small.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like last year was obvious, or this season was a lot. Olympic qualifying and the Olympics is just so stressful. Like I ended up like at Dew Tour, I think it was, one of our last Olympic qualifiers, I like tweaked my right knee and got a bone bruise, and like it just like felt kind of like one thing after the other.
Yeah.
But I also feel like from my brother's death as well, I was like, nothing's gonna stop me or get in my way. Like I was driven. I was like, I don't care what happens. Like I'm gonna be at the Olympics. But also having that mindset too. Once it was over, I was like,
once you got there, you're like, oh my god,
I'm exhausted.
Yeah. And
I took off the rest of the season after the Olympics. I didn't compete. I just skied for myself and went to like fun things. I did an all girls park shoot and just fun stuff like that. Went home and skied with my parents. But yeah, I still kind of feel like I still need some downtime.
Yeah.
But
everybody
who knows?
does.
Like I'm a person. I'm like, take it month by month.
Yeah.
I'm sure once, I get back in the start gate or whatever, like at a contest, I'll get fired up again. But as of right now, I plan on just competing a little less this season and focusing.
Seeing what else is out there for
exactly.
you. I like it.
Exactly.
Who, so before we go, you might as well, this is a good opportunity. Okay. Who are your sponsors right now?
Who are my sponsors? So I've been with Monster for a really long time. I think almost like 9 years. So Monster, K2.
Really? When you were like 14?
They signed me when I was 14.
Can they do that?
I guess back then they could. I don't know.
Well, whatever. Take it.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Well, back then too.
That was the golden age of like energy drink sponsorships too, right?
Oh yeah. And I remember when I got my first, Monster helmet, I was like, no one can touch it.
Was that more important than the paycheck back then?
Oh yeah.
Because it didn't.
I mean, I didn't really know.
Because you didn't have to live for yourself. Then you're still living at home.
No, I mean, my parents did all my expenses.
And
I didn't know what the contract was for.
I know there's like within child actors, there's a certain rule or law or something that they have to put money into a certain account somehow.
I don't know. I honestly have no idea. I know.
You're like, where's that money, Mom and Dad?
Yeah. And then when I got to the age and I was making a little more, it was like, okay, I have an LLC and like, but yeah, then no, I didn't really know. All I heard was, I think you're going to sign with Monster. And I was like, like that's when you made it X Games, you have an energy drink on your head. Like that was it. But yeah, I've been with Monster for a long time. Been with K2. I just signed with Roxy, which I was really excited about.
For outerwear?
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. So excited.
Are you going to get them to send you some like summer stuff? Surfboards?
I'm already ready. I'm like not a surf girl, but
You're
pretending.
About to be.
I'm pretending.
You will be.
Yeah. And then Land Rover right now, and my brain isn't working. Sorry, sponsors, but yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah.
You put it on.
Exactly. I'm like, let's see. I got Roxy, got Monster. No.
Goggles, helmets?
Roxy.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Full
Monster,
head to toe?
or Monster, yeah. Roxy for helmet and goggles. So
cool.
Yeah.
And then K2's got boots now. They took over the full tilts.
Full tilts.
Were you on full tilts before?
Yeah.
And it's just the same. It's just a different logo.
Yeah. I mean, before I was in full tilts, I had Reichley's. My dad found a pair of like old school Reichley boots at a thrift store for $10. So I had Reichley's, and then I was in full tilts. Yeah. Anyways, I can't ski anything else, but
I love it.
yeah. And Wells Lamont glove sponsor.
Oh yeah, Wells. We did some stuff with Wells. I love those gloves.
They're so awesome.
They're amazing. Like I love them.
And I get like a bunch of work gardening gloves.
Yeah.
Like it's awesome. It's not just ski gloves.
Because Berman's great with that,
Yes.
eh?
Yeah.
So one of the best pow days of my life, the gloves enabled me to stay. So I had to leave. I was waiting in line and it was taking forever.
Yeah.
Like the mountain was super slow to open.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, I gotta go like do some podcasts.
Yeah.
I think I had to put an episode out or do something.
Okay. Yeah.
And I went, I think there's a reel on my Instagram, on the LPP Instagram. And I went under the rope and I started to ski away. And it has the little carabiner, little beaner.
I still have it. I don't take it off.
Neither do I. So I went like this. So the rope is here and I like went under. And as I went under, it clipped on the carabiner. Because I'm like, fuck this, I gotta go. Like I was on my way off the hill. So I go to leave and it stopped me. Like it held me back. Like it was attached to the rope. And I went, well, looks like I'm staying. This is a sign. This is a sign. So I unclipped it and I got back in line and it was the deepest, lightest, probably the best. Probably one of my top 5 days on Whistler Blackcomb in 20 years.
No way.
Yeah, without a doubt. And the Wells Lamont gloves.
Man,
kept me.
No coincidence.
No,
but
right?
Shout out to Wells Lamont for that.
I was like, let's go.
I love it. Oh.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming. The episode went way longer, but amazing. I was like, I like it because I haven't had a good podcast conversation in a while.
Really fun. And I don't know if we mentioned it at the beginning. I can't remember if we were talking about it before we hit record, but this is like my first legit podcast.
Like in person one.
Yes.
Yeah, I dig it.
Yeah. Nice. I got to try like the headphones and the...
Her first.
My first, so...
Awesome.
Well,
thank you. And like, I always like putting stuff out in the summer just because it's a long summer, right? Yeah. I want to keep people in there. I'm like, momentum. I was hoping to get up on momentum a bit more this year. I wanted to do some episodes on.
Oh, that would have been so fun.
At COC a couple of years ago, I did an episode like on the deck of the jump.
Okay, yeah.
So we're like underneath and people were launching over us as we were just
chatting.
No
way.
Yeah. And,
well, next summer I'll be back.
Right. And hopefully it was raining and cold and John was like, we got to buy tickets for everything. They're not comping tickets and stuff. So I was like, and it was rainy and shitty all summer.
This summer or that summer?
This summer. So I'm like, I don't need to go up there. I'll just have them come over to the house.
Thursday it was poured rain all day.
Yep.
But my campers were in for it. And I'm like, I'm here for you guys.
I love it. Well, Maggie, thank you so much. And check it out. If you're listening to this, it's on YouTube too. We're going to have some highlight clips and all that other good stuff.
Thank you.
All right.
God, we made it happen.
Yeah.
You've been listening to the Low Pressure Podcast, the podcast for skiers. This has been a Redmark Media production.